Today's feast is a good occasion for tonight's novena. For although more than 1,500 years separate the martyrdoms of St. Ignatius of Antioch and St. Charles Garnier, their common witness to the faith, courage in the face of trials, and unflagging commitment to Jesus Christ inspire and offer a model for us and for our times. St. Paul urges the Philippians and us to observe those who conduct themselves according to the model you have in us. Paul's martyrdom inspired Ignatius. Ignatius's martyrdom and that of heroic saints through the millennia inspired Charles Garnier and the North American martyrs. They all inspire us. Not necessarily to be martyrs, but to be better Christian witnesses. St. Paul was martyred around the year 64 or 65, and from the year 70 to 107, Ignatius was the bishop of Antioch, one of the three great cities of the Roman Empire. Under a persecution of Emperor Trajan, Ignatius was brought to Rome, where he was thrown to wild animals. He knew his fate, and he did not flinch from it as he traveled under military guard all the way from Syria to Rome. During the long journey, he wrote 7 letters to the faithful, copies of which survive as some of the earliest post-biblical Christian writings. In those letters, St. Ignatius urged Catholics to be unified in their beliefs, with their bishop, and with themselves in outreach to others. Pope Benedict said that Ignatius of Antioch urged a communion of the church within the church and in the proclamation of the gospel to others, until others speak through one dimension and believers increasingly have obtained the inseparable Spirit who is Jesus Christ. St. Ignatius traveled across the empire from one great city to its center in Rome, knowing that martyrdom awaited him, and he urged others not to do anything to spare him. St. Charles, born of a noble family, educated in Paris, traveled across an ocean to a primitive and wild continent to proclaim the gospel, so that Native Americans could hear the gospel, speak of Jesus Christ, receive his saving Spirit, and save their souls. All the while, St. Charles, knowing and not flinching from the possibility, and indeed, as time went on, the likelihood of martyrdom, because of the intractability of some chiefs, the refusal to be welcomed by others, or the dangers of getting caught in intertribal wars. Not one of a strong physical constitution, St. Charles was blessed with deep faith and great love. He saw the best in Native Americans who were even those who were harsh to him. He learned their language through painstaking time of listening, writing down every word they spoke, and practicing so he could be more fluent in convincing them. He would walk 30 or 40 miles on a hot summer day to baptize a dying man. He would wade through waist-high snowdrifts in frigid winter temperatures to visit other villages. He would set out at midnight to tend to a dying Indian. He carried a sick man 6 miles on his back. He broke up a brawl among natives, not by physical force, as he was delicate of constitution, but by his quiet authority. Subsisting at times only on acorns and roots, he wrote, "I have no fears about my health. What I should fear more would be that of deserting my flock in the misery of their hunger and amidst the terrors of war, since they have need of me more than ever. I would fail to use the opportunity which God gives me of losing myself for him, and so render myself unworthy of his favors. At all times I am ready to leave everything and to die in the spirit of obedience." Die he would, shot in the chest and in the stomach by Iroquois raiding the Petuan village he was visiting. Writhing in pain, he was stripped of his cassock and left for dead. But he regained his consciousness, and seeing a friendly Indian nearby who was squirming in pain, St. Charles struggled to his knees to comfort, perhaps even to baptize that man. But bleeding, he fell. He fell down. But again he struggled to his hands and knees and crawled towards the dying man, and he reached out to him and then was struck with a tomahawk in the head. He died. He died witnessing to Christ. He died loving those Native Americans to whom God called him to serve. Francis Parkman, a Protestant chronicler of the 17th century British, French, and Indian history of the forests of North America, and no apologist for Catholicism, would grudgingly write, "Nowhere is the power of courage, faith, and unflinching purpose more strikingly displayed than in the record of these missions." I would add that there is no greater cause to which courage, faith, and unflinching purpose can be devoted than the preaching of the Gospels and the spread of the Christian faith. No greater cause because it involves the salvation of souls. This was true in the time of Paul of Tarsus, in the time of Ignatius of Antioch, in the time of the North American martyrs, and it is true in our time, when so much of America has again become, regrettably, mission territory. When cultural headwinds may not lead to martyrdom by the tomahawk, but the missionary challenges can be nonetheless formidable, whether from heated opposition or cold indifference, both of which St. Charles Garnier and the North American martyrs faced. But they faced these challenges with deep love in their hearts, with patience in their demeanor, with Christ in their souls, and steadfastness in their spirits. They did not count the costs, dwell on their sacrifices, or fret over failures. They loved the Lord, they loved the people they were serving, and they did not count the cost. Mother Teresa once said, "God didn't put us here to be faithful. He put us here, didn't put us here to be successful. He put us here to be faithful." The task of spreading that faith, the courage, the faith, the unflinching purpose that must be devoted to that task are not just the challenge and the tools of priests and foreign missionaries. Evangelization is the task of us all, in our families, in our homes, in our parishes, among our friends, among families, among strangers. So my friends, tonight, it's good that we come here. It's good that you're part of this novena of these great saints from the North American continent. Let us be inspired by them. Let us imitate their sacrifice, their patience, their courage, and love, that we might be witnesses to the truth of the gospel and to the love of God, to the strength and the peace of the Holy Spirit. Our warring world needs that. Our polarized politics need that. Our self-centered society and culture need that. May then we, inspired by the examples of the North American martyrs, be God's instruments in that sacred and sorely needed task of bringing Christ, of bringing the gospel once again to our continent, to our communities, and to our church.